Where's Sandy?
Oh, he's on his way to Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he left tonight at 5 o'clock.
All right, we are good to go. So, hello everybody. Dana, I've got it at 6:32 p.m. If we want to start kicking off with the meeting. Thank you everybody for making some time. I know we didn't meet last month. I will tell you, part of it was I kind of looked at what was on my plate and figured also with everything else going on, we really didn't have a heck of a lot to warrant a meeting last month. So I think we're at a point now where there's more to discuss and go over, and then really kind of dive into our routine from here. So with that being said, just kind of looking through, the only person I think we're missing at the moment is Ed. We also have two other guests that will be joining us. Marissa Connolly, who's on here listed as Tiverton Public Schools. Hi, Marissa. And then also Dave Paul is going to chime in when we get to the dog park part of this. Dana kindly sent over the minutes for us to review. They should be in your inbox right now if you haven't opened them up. If anybody wants to just take a look and scan them over for a second, in looking at them, what I'd like to do is obviously we can go through the process of accepting a motion to accept the minutes and then a second and discuss. So I also just realized that the position of this screen makes the antlers look like they're coming out of my head. I'm just going to leave it there. Just going to go with it. So could I entertain a motion to accept the minutes from December 22nd?
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Okay, I've got a motion. Can I entertain a second? I've got a second from Dan. All right, we're going to stop for a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And based on the people that were at the meeting, the motion carries. So thank you, Dan, for filling in admirably on these ones. Appreciate it.
But Dan, you did a great job.
You did. Very clear and concise. All right. Treasurer's report. Rachel, is there anything of note? Rachel, I don't know. I don't know if you said anything. We couldn't hear you if you did. I don't think there's been any activity. No. Still not getting you, but again, we haven't really had any activity so far. I will offer, and Rachel, jump in here if you will. Oh, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. No, I have nothing to report out at this point. Thank you.
I will add just one note that there is a rec budget workshop on, or I don't know if workshop's the right word, Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a meeting on Saturday where town council is reviewing budget. Council President Dan Medeiros gave me a call tonight, probably an hour and a half ago, and said, would I be willing to come and talk on Saturday? And I said, yes. I will circulate what we put together as the budget. It's really essentially what we had done before. So an extension of that with the data that we included from staffing positions. Chris Cotta looked at it, so it incorporates everything that we looked at before, but I'll throw that around just as we get to it. If anybody else wants to join me, you're welcome to. Let's see. Okay, recreation coordinators report. There is not currently at this time a recreation coordinator. This is just a line item that we've kept, so we'll table that one, pass by it. We can talk a little bit about how we handle that type of role when we get to the job descriptions part. So we'll keep moving. I don't know if this qualifies as public or open comment. I did put the Pecasset Buddy Bench down under general business, but if it's all right with everybody, I'd love to give Marissa the opportunity to kind of speak here. Something that she presented to us just for some feedback. She's already been in touch with Rick Rogers, but thought it was good for us to hear. So any objections to changing the order on the agenda very quickly?
No.
No.
All right. Marissa, hello.
Hey.
Hey. Thank you for joining us. Please fire away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening. So over at Pecasset School, a few years back, we purchased, it's called a buddy bench. So it sits on the playground. The purpose behind it is if there are children out there who have nobody to play with, they feel alone, They sit down on the bench, other kids can see that, and then they go and ask them to join and play. So it's been a really cool thing since we put it in a few years ago. Kids use it all the time. Very positive feedback. We are looking, because it's a town playground, it's not, the property is not owned by the school. So we had to go through DPW to kind of help install and get it going. We want to add another one this year. And this year our purpose is one for the same purpose, but also, sorry, timer's going off. We want to do it in honor of Shawnee Smith, who was a middle school student who recently passed. He's a Picasset student. His sister still currently goes to the school there. He's got a baby brother who will be coming through the school. So we kind of want to honor him in a way that's not a memorial plaque or something that's a little bit more morbid, but something that's kind of speaks to the kid that he was and what he showed everybody. So he had a quote that he used to say all the time: never stop, never quit, never give up. So we were thinking about putting that on the bench. His family is so excited at the prospect of it. They love the idea. Mrs. Wardell, our principal, is all for it as well. We're just trying to follow the correct channels to make it happen. As a PTO, we'll purchase it, funds that we fund for. We just kind of need, to be allowed to put it on there and have the help of DPW to actually install the item.
From a rec standpoint, I don't know that there's anything necessarily actionable on our end. I mean, there is space there. DPW would handle the installation. It's not coming out of our budget.
Okay.
I just figured this is something for this commission. If there's any thoughts, feedback, or if I'm missing something, please chime in. I personally think it's a great idea. I mean, we all followed along with what his struggle and his battle was, and pretty remarkable kid. And so I applaud you guys in the PTO for trying to think of a way to recognize that and remember him. But commission members, what do you guys think?
I think it's fantastic.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and I mean, I think as a committee, as a commission, I think we would back this 110%.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
Anything you need, I'm sure, just contact me. My name is Bob Sodoma. I'll help out in any way I can.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to have to wait a little bit just because of weather and letting the ground thaw out, but I want to at least get the ordering process going. So we have a timeline, no idea how long it'll take to physically get it. But at the town playground, I thought it would be really neat too, just for everybody as a community who followed them. It'd be something nice to have.
Yeah.
Question, is there anything that you need that we can help with, labor or anything like that? Any donations? Is there anything that?
I mean, I think if I remember correctly, it was around $500, the one we did a few years back. And at that point we had the funds for it, which we do now. We're definitely struggling. It's a different year with COVID and not being able to do fundraisers, but we kind of have some money earmarked for it. I think physically getting it in there is going to be where we need some help and support.
When we put the slide in at Picasset, I think last year, that new slide, that all came through DPW. So REC, through the kindness of the Tiverton Educational Foundation, got the money. They actually put it into REC, and then REC just approved it. So it sort of went a circle on that. But I can work with you offline and with REC, and you guys are already connected to just get that set. So it's just got to be in DPW's work schedule.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate.
And I'm sorry, just for our meeting minutes, it was Marissa Connolly.
Conley, Conley.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome,
What a
Jonas.
great
Thank
thing.
you,
What a
Marissa.
great thing.
Hi, Marissa.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
That's okay.
They were like, anyway.
All right, cool. Good stuff. I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, that is a really nice idea.
Great.
Great idea. Great idea.
Okay. Okay, so back to our agenda. Beach sticker contest documents, I just put them in there. We've talked about them before. There's no formal vote that's required. I just wanted to put it in front of folks for a final question before I throw it to the school department to get approval before we proceed with it. This is the same thing we did last year, and I pretty much just tried to update it, going red over blue, I think it was, or orange, whatever we came out with. So I don't know. Any thoughts?
I think last year was a great success. The sticker was really nice. Got a lot of compliments on it. I think it's worthwhile. I'd love to see it do it again this year if all possible.
Yeah, I think the color was good too. You went to an orange or a red. I think it's good. It's a good switch.
Yeah.
I bounce between blue and red as we go, but I'm open to suggestions. It's just not like this is not a real earth-shattering decision is to pick the color. So
No, just as long as it looks different than last year, right?
right, exactly.
Well, yeah, I think it's good because last year was blue, so this year is going to be such a change that somebody could visually see it and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's last year's. We need a new one.
Yeah, pink polka dots with little butterflies would be nice.
I'm thinking zebra stripes maybe in there. Is that?
So we'll make that special one for you.
At some point, actually, one honest thing that we do need to look at is that when the gate attendants get the stickers and you peel it back, you have to put the number on it in reverse. And I was remarkably impressed by the backwards writing skills of some of the gate attendants, but I'd also love to come up with an easier way to do it. So I put this out for the collective brain power of this group to say, what can we come up with that would make their lives easier from like a stamp or something else? So
Stamp would be great.
You got to understand something though, Stu. That's how they write in school. They write backwards. That's why they do it.
You gotta wait. They gotta wait with cursive. That's what they're going with now. New math, new handwriting.
new math, new handwriting, right backwards.
I will say that is quite a chore because when I was down at the beach a few times trying to write it backwards, it's like I'd have to pull the sticker off to see I was doing it the right way because it is quite a trick.
Yeah.
You gotta use a mirror.
Well, absolutely, but the chat, it's one of those things like the stamp gets tough because it's a license plate and all the license plates are different, so you can't do it as a sequential number. And so I don't have a good answer, but we got some time till summer. If anybody comes up with something ingenious, maybe there's a new business opportunity here. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Something we talked about at our last meeting was job descriptions. And so we had talked about having some working groups to discuss where we go from here. And that's, I think, still tentatively a plan. I put together a draft of these just to kind of let us review based on where we talked before. Bob and I had connected briefly about some suggestions that he'd had that I tried to incorporate, and I'm sure there are some more. I don't know, opening it up to the floor, if anybody had looked them over and had any general feedback, or if there was one particular one we wanted to start on.
Well, you just want to start with the beach coordinator because it's first, so.
Sure. So the concept for this year, and I'm just putting it up on the screen, is to have one person manage beaches at a coordinator level, one person manage parks and potentially connecting with leagues on the other side, and then having the staff under each of those positions. Because last year there was a lot of time spent with communicating with leagues and dealing with COVID, and the leagues were great. They were awesome to work with, and I appreciated them being considerate of all the things we were juggling, but would love to give them a staff related point person as well for when we get to that side. So Sarah by default, I think, did a lot that was more just beach centric based on what we needed last year. And so we've kind of redefined that. I took job descriptions that exist and tried to change them a bit. But there's more refinement we can do. So Bob, you had mentioned when we talked before potentially about the seasonality of the role. Is March to September the correct time frame, and I'd open it up here if you want to chime in or if anybody has thoughts.
Well, I just think, I could be wrong. I mean, I don't see as much need for somebody in March. There's really not much going on. I could see going from like April 1st till a meeting in September, so they can come and give us the final report for the season. But is there enough stuff going on in March to warrant a person to start that early? The beaches really don't open up until Memorial Day weekend, which is the end of May. So if they start like April 1st, they have all of April, almost on all of May to get done what needs to get done. But then again, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
It's the hiring that's going to be the issue, right? You know, getting ads in and getting somebody. You have to hire somebody this year, get them in place, and then get them to get ads in and hire everybody, because a lot of these lifeguards get booked up by April and May.
Yeah, but Chris, on the other side of the coin, the personnel board does all of that. They interview, or they go over all the applications, and they hand them to whoever the coordinator is and say, you pick who you want. But I think that there are some things that have to be done, like we have to have the water tested. We have to have the rope lines put out, the safety lines. We have to have the lifeguard chairs put out. So I think April 1st, not bad, until October 1st, something like that. Even March till September, I don't think is that bad, but I don't think you want to go like January, February. There's really not much to do in January and February. But I do think there are some things we're not really focusing on, because I know they have to come down and test the water before we can even open the beaches, and usually that's takes a little while before we get that done. So, but I don't have a problem March to September or April to October, as long as it's not all year long. I don't think we need anybody all year long.
I don't think we need anybody 6 months. I mean, they can't test the water in March. Like I said, the personnel board is the one that's going to interview all the applicants and stuff like that. And then they hand it over to the beach coordinator to pick who they want. They'll have all of April, all of May to set up schedules and stuff like that. There's not, there's not much going on in March, and any money that we can save, we can always use to opening the beaches the following year. That's what I'm looking at, because last year we didn't get the beaches open until July 1, because we didn't have the money. You could only work on weekends, and we lost basically all of June because we didn't have the money to pay the people. So I'm just looking at seeing how, trying to save as much as we can so we can open the beaches on Memorial Day and run from Memorial Day until Labor Day, and not do what we did last year. And by hiring somebody in March, unless it's a retired person or something like that, they're not going to be available during a week. Take Sarah, for instance. I mean, she's a school teacher. She wouldn't be available during a week to do water tests and all this other stuff because she's working her day job. So to get somebody in there in March, I mean, it's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong. I just think March is a little early. I think March until the September meeting, and then we're good.
Well, I have a couple of questions. Like, who actually puts out the posting for the jobs of like the lifeguards and the gate attendants and all that stuff? Is it like that's something that Sarah normally did, right?
So
no, they usually bring that to a council meeting, and then they okay it to be advertised.
Yeah.
Yeah. The posting that I had, it's in that folder, was Nancy Mello had her name on it before, and I updated it for Joan just to be able to hand it off to her. But I think it's got to go through the town clerk's office after the town council looks at it.
Yep.
But is that something that the board brings up in like February or January?
Well, you probably should start doing it now.
Right.
So we can get lifeguards. I mean, we're going to be behind the.
Well, that's
what I'm going to say. We should start advertising right now.
Right.
Chris, when did
Right.
you guys used to start advertising?
Right. We could advertise now, but
Right.
We were lucky for a number of years. We had the same people coming back. And that's the thing too, is there may be a number of people that'll come back and you might have, again, I don't know the team that you had last year, but traditionally the lead lifeguard did this role. You know, we were lucky for a number of years that the lead lifeguard person kind of coordinated everything.
yeah, that was it. That was April 16.
Yeah, and that's a good candidate because then they actually work also, so they can work as a lifeguard, and then you give them what we did. We gave her in particular a stipend to do the extra work of managing everybody coming and going and collecting the fees and all that.
Does anybody know
Cool,
if the
that-
lead lifeguard last year is the lead person last year interested in this position this year?
Well, I was going to state that Maureen Amaral, she was like one of the elderly person there, lifeguard. She really enjoyed doing that. I wonder if we could reach out to her, see if she'd be interested in taking over that program, because she was really good last year.
Excellent last year.
So I think there's sort of two different things at play, and these are all really good suggestions. In order to make sure we're following the process, if I'm not mistaken, like agreeing on what we look at as the time frame, if there's anything else in there that we want to adjust, put it in front of the town council, get them to just sign off on it, and then from there have it posted, and we can blast it and encourage people to apply through the same channels. And we may do exactly what you're just suggesting, Joe. I mean, could be the perfect fit. But what I'm wondering here is, does it make sense for us to determine right now what time frame are we looking at? Do we feel comfortable with? And then have everybody else look through a version of this over the next week and just compile feedback. I mean, this isn't something we have to necessarily vote on. I think we just have to submit it in so that we can get it into the queue. It's essentially a hybrid or a version of the positions we've had in the past. So it's not, we're not reinventing the wheel.
One of my pet peeves is that I don't think anybody who takes the position from Memorial Day to Labor Day should be able to take a vacation. We really need somebody there during that period, not taking a week off to go somewhere and leaving it in somebody else's hands. I think, that's something we should make known in the job application, that is crucial, that you must be available during those months. I'm not saying they have to be at the beach, but they got to be readily available. If there's a problem, somebody can contact them. We can't, worry about somebody being away and we can't get in touch with them. I just think that's very, very important. And I will push for that.
There it is, highlighted.
Well, I think this starts to get at what Joe's saying. So Joe, it just says on the screen, you can see it says availability between Memorial Day and Labor Day is crucial. I want to check with Chris Cotta on how the language could be structured to really drill home the point you're looking for. Because the idea of being like no days off, no vacation between these times, I don't know how you craft that language explicitly, but I agree with you that it needs to be called out.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is that, we had a few instances down there last year where, we had to get in touch with somebody to make a decision and we couldn't. And that's all I'm saying is you have to be readily available,
Yeah. Yeah. The other part to that is after we get the job descriptions done, going back and looking at the operations manual, and I've got some updates to do from the Red Cross to highlight exactly that point of, who's the carryover? Who do you escalate things to if the person's not there for some reason, or they're offsite, or it's their day off, however that works out. So more to figure out, but I like your point about the language. Definitely makes sense. Yep. I'll ask Chris Cotta what he says.
Yep. I think we have more things to go over with the job description.
Okay. So something we talked about last time was having a small working group. Do we want to get like 3 people together just to kind of look it over before we proceed? All right. So I got Dan's raising his hand. You got a question?
Sure. I'll join that group.
Cool. Bob, do you mind jumping in on that too?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Joe, sorry, you cut in and out. I apologize if I cut you off there.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I was going to say is that, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Get together and go over them, as a group. And then when we sit down, just say, okay, here's the ones we feel, we should consider or look at, and then get all the input from everybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so so Bob and Dan, does anybody else want to be a part of the group?
I'll be a liaison.
There we go. All right, so we got 2 in a liaison. How's that work?
I mean, I'll do it. I'll do it. That's fine.
All right, awesome. So
Hey, Stu, one other thing, I just thought of. We might want to consider reaching out to Mike Brick too, because he's got he's pretty good in this department too. So maybe we can reach out to him and get some input from him.
gotcha. Yeah, he was invited tonight. He sent his regrets that he couldn't make it, but
Okay.
I will put it on his radar as well.
All right.
So Bob, Dana, and Dan. Bob, can I ask you to take point on just setting up a meeting for your group to take a look at the job descriptions?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. All right, so I will connect with you, Bob, after when you guys figure out a time, and then we'll figure out when we bring it back to the group for one final review. But I'll figure that the job descriptions are in your court for now. Good deal. Right. Anything else that we need to cover on job descriptions?
One other thing too, I mean, it's not really job descriptions, but when we go out and advertise for help and stuff like that, especially for like the gate attendants and stuff, I think maybe we should post the application maybe at like the Senior Citizen Center or like Tiverton Housing. Maybe get some older people that are retired and stuff that want to earn a little bit extra money, but yet, get out there and socialize a little bit, and we can pair them up with the younger kids. Us older adults seem to have a little bit better work ethics than some of these younger kids, so maybe we can teach them,
How to write backwards.
yeah, exactly.
So I would
Seriously.
I do think that there are a number of younger people that have good work ethics, but I absolutely agree with you that the level of experience that could be provided by mentorship is a really cool concept. And I just frankly, I also think people that have been in the workplace, that experience is applicable and responsibility factor. And I don't even want to know what you're doing with your phone right now.
I got a guy that works for me, 30-something years old. He spent more time on this than he does working.
It's interesting, and I think I've had this conversation with a couple of you, is that when I was probably 16 or 17, I worked as a dockhand, and in between, when things got quiet, I'd pick up a book and I'd read, right? So when cell phones weren't as prevalent. Part of me wonders if from a generational standpoint, if the cell phone is the current version of the book. In either way, I probably shouldn't have been reading, but it was also killing time when it was raining, It's my deep thought for the day. Cool.
Now, do you want to have Dana, myself, and Dan? We're going to go over the job description for the beach coordinator, correct? What are you going to do about the parks? You want us to go over that one too, or you want to pick somebody else to go over the camp coordinator?
So what I would advocate for is, if as a group you're willing to look through the job descriptions collectively,
Okay.
and look at 2 things. One, make sure that there is, knowing what we've done in the past, is there consistency to make sure that we don't have any major gaps between the different jobs by splitting it, and also make sure that the content within them is accurate. The one area that so we've talked about hiring being an area that we're as a commission probably gonna have to look at being active in early on. The other thing that isn't in this intentionally is events. And that was a reflection of last year that while Sarah did help, I don't want to diminish her involvement. A lot of it came to us as a commission to facilitate. And so I think we need to look at how can we take that on and what is our scope, and maybe build back towards it later as recreation grows. It doesn't strike me as something we need to commit a lot of resources to right now.
The only one that might be a little tricky for us to do would be the camp coordinator. Is that what it was called? The programs coordinator. Is that for like the summer parks programs?
Yep.
Because I mean,
Yeah, that's the one
don't
Sandy
really-
used to run.
right, but is that going to be? I mean, we don't know how that's going to be even run this year. Because I know some people want the full day. Are we going to keep the partial day that we've always had, or a mixture of both, or you know what I mean? So that one might be a little tricky, but as long as we have, like, I guess the basics covered.
Yeah, really good point. The only thing that I absolutely, it was interesting. The camp counselor description was the old one was way more detailed than what Sandy's job description had been. I mean, way more bullet points. So tried to just kind of get them to the same playing field in terms of look, feel. I did take out what the time commitments were because it listed the camp for exactly the reason you mentioned, Dana.
Okay.
I mean, I'm happy to be involved with that one a little bit, and I have a feeling Rachel probably has some thoughts as well. I know she and Dan were sort of spearheading some of the summer camp stuff we talked about. I know a lot going on.
Hey, Chris, you're like the senior member of this commission. You were the chairperson for a long time and stuff like that. How do you feel about? Do you feel it, or do you think this is a good idea? Splitting it up, having someone taking care of, like the parks type thing, like the daycare part, and then someone else taking care of the beaches. Do you feel
Definitely.
that?
Yeah, I know. We always did that, and there was a reason was that the beaches is really concentrated, obviously, in that tight summer time frame. So it's a different person, and I mean that's where we get our revenue. So having somebody that focuses on that, and again, we were lucky. Most of those years is we had the senior lifeguard that also worked that did double duty at that, so it was really super convenient. But then they were scheduling everybody and doing that, and on the other hand, developing that parks person, because where we were going with this a few years ago, we had Keith was on the commission. He was our coordinator. We were really trying to build the parks up and build up the services and the things that we did for the town. And you really that tends to be more of an all year thing, because if you really plan right for a good summer camp, you got your stuff together now. So you need that person working more all year on those things. So I think if we can get those two people going, and I think with Sarah, we definitely have the one person that can concentrate on the bigger picture with us. And then if we can get that summer person, again, maybe it's a lifeguard we already have, it does make a lot of sense. And I think it works. And it can be too much, I think, for that one part-time person to do the summer, and then they can't focus on the camps. Because the camps done right, is a lot of work.
The reason why I brought it up, like splitting it, because I spent a lot of time down the beaches this year, and I saw what Sarah was doing, and it's a lot of, it's time consuming.
Oh yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, she's doing this now. What happens if she had to also run the daycare or the camp?
You can't.
You can't do it. So
busy
my
Saturday
theory
or
was-
Sunday, it wipes you out.
My theory was if you could split it up, you have somebody concentrate just on the beach and another person concentrating just on the daycare and the parks or whatever. I think it would work out better.
It does work better. There's no doubt. You get better services for both areas.
Okay.
Because the parks tend to be more Monday to Friday, and then the beaches are Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, when you get hit on a good July 4th weekend, what it's like down there, it's crazy. There's cars coming in. And I think this year, with the way things are looking, with a lot of people that are moving down this way, South Shore Beach gets booked up by Saturday morning by 10 o'clock. I think Fogland and Grinnell's are both going to get hit harder. I think we're going to get more clients. We're going to get more people coming to the beaches.
And what you're seeing now too is like South Shore from 7 to 9 is Little Compton residents only.
Yeah.
Middletown just doing Middletown residents only at all their beaches. Westport is Westport residents only at their beaches. So the number of beaches that are available to everyone is becoming smaller.
That's right.
And it's making it Tiverton more appealing because basically we're accepting anyone.
Yeah. And the beaches are starting to look a lot nicer too, with the sand buildup and all that. So it would be smart for us to develop that position again that we used to have, which was that separate dedicated beach manager / head lifeguard. You know, if you can get the two people together, it's kind of a win-win. Like I said, because then that person can fill in for the vital spot, which is the lifeguard when they're not there. If it has to be somebody that's not a lifeguard, it probably still works as well too. And then that's somebody that if you have enforcement issues and things like that, it kind of, I mean, you guys did a lot last summer. I saw you guys out there. You guys busted your ass, which was great. But you know, it's volunteers, and if you have a beach that is a public spot, it is good to have somebody that's employed doing that. Same goes for the parks too. We start having a lot of parks programs. Again, you build that up and you start building a full-time day camp. It's a big deal. You know, we did it that one year, and you know, we only had, I don't know, half a dozen kids in it. It wasn't, but it was done. We actually pulled it off. And you know, to grow on that would be kind of a cool thing, you know, if the commission decides to take that on.
Rachel, you popped off mute. I didn't know if you had a comment in there.
Am I still off mute?
You are. Yep.
Okay, I was just gonna comment that last year, of course, we couldn't run our summer parks programs because of the pandemic. We are still really trying to figure out our way through this, and I'm not totally sure what the fate of a summer parks program could be at this point.
Might not have it again. I don't know.
Dana?
I don't know if this was covered in the meeting and I missed last meeting that I didn't go to, but what is Sarah's role going to be now? Is she going to like coordinate all of like the beach people and the thing, just be like the supervisor, and then we have a head lifeguard do the beaches and then somebody do that? Or I don't, what's her role now?
Yeah, so that the recreation coordinator role under the direction of, this is something Chris Cott had also talked about. It did come up in our prior meetings. That role will be changed into what we're seeing here, which is essentially somebody handling just beaches. And then the other side of it would be somebody focusing on summer camp and leagues. To Rachel's point, that if for some reason something were to occur where the summer camp doesn't happen, we would still, I think we're going forward with beaches no matter what, right? And it'll be very interesting to see in the next probably, I don't know, 6 weeks what occurs with COVID that might impact summer camp. But I also know that last year, and I know Dave Paul's also sitting in the waiting room, like there was a lot of activity in our fields due to the leagues. And I applaud them for trying to stay active. I know they're already looking at how they proceed for next year, and would anticipate we're going to get some field requests coming up soon. So,
and as of right now, Dana, we do not have a coordinator. Sarah's contract ran out December 31st. So that's why we want to do this job description review, so we can make sure that, you know, we're covering all our bases.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments right at the moment? All right. So we've got our working group for the job descriptions. I'll step into and help with, especially on the park side. I'm working on updating the operations manual, and so I hope we can have sort of a cohesive ecosystem of documents, and I'll try to make sure we get those to you guys. Let's tentatively aim to have a small working group next week, just to make sure that we don't have any issues with numbers of people. I may not be on the call, but I'll try to provide stuff ahead of time, because I don't think we can have more than 3 people without having too many on the call from a rec standpoint. I think that's right. All right. Anything else before we move on to the other items? Okay. These are just listed in here. Again, we've talked a little bit about summer camps. I don't know, Rachel and Dan, if you guys have had a chance to talk at all. If not, that's fine, but it's on here.
Not yet. I think Rachel's the busiest person on the planet right now. So, and yeah, I'm kind of busy too. So, not yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So, working at COVID vaccine clinics feverishly over the last 2 months. What I can say is that the vaccine is still coming in a painfully slow fashion from the federal government to the state governments, and then from the state governments disseminated down. So we're not really where even we thought as a country we would be as far as vaccinations, and really all of that is going to have a trickle down effect to whether or not we can reopen and have the large gatherings again. So no, Dan and I have not had a chance to meet, and Dan, thank you, you're being very kind, but I just haven't been able to coordinate some time to meet with him. But a lot of it is really still so far up in the air, pending whether or not we're going to be able to get some groups together and what kind of restrictions and capacity counts there may be.
Yeah, I appreciate the viewpoint on that. I would also say, like, having one person who's involved in the medical field, another one on the educational side, and like you said, you guys may be the two busiest people on the planet right now. So I 100% hear you. One thing that I wanted to put out before I forget, so we're talking about places to list jobs. The Rhode Island Recreation, it's RITRA, I think it is. They post out jobs, and I'm on their mailing list because I'm kind of a dork and I joined and got a membership. And so they push things out, and like Jamestown is hiring. I've seen a couple other places. We can feed it into that too. I also asked them about the idea of doing a survey to the towns and communities to get some data on things like beach pricing, summer camps. What are you doing? Well, who are you using for registration systems? Stuff that would help us that we don't really have time to go source. So they're, I think, undertaking that, and I will share it when I get the info. And we'll also make sure we are contributors if it makes sense. So
Thank you. That's
it's
great.
a really useful organization.
Nice.
Yep. All right. My only town farm renovation committee comment is that we met with Compan, who's the provider, and we are slated to have a playground open by 4th of July weekend.
Wow.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's great news.
So you will see renderings coming out in the next couple of weeks, probably in the next week. We're just going to put together some marketing materials. We are going to need help from the community to make stuff happen, but really excited. My daughter's favorite part is that it will have dual zip lines. So,
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. And if
So cool.
at some point, if we actually let the kids play on it, that'll be even better. And Joe, just a heads up for you as well. We're going to try and do a groundbreaking at some point. I'm talking to Compan about how to do it safely with COVID, but I'll keep you posted because I'd love to have all the town council there. So
That'd be awesome.
And everybody else, obviously, commission folks too.
Yeah.
No, just Joe.
Just Joe. Only Joe. Be the only one there.
Oh yeah, I'm going
all
on.
that
I'm
matters.
going on the zip line. I'll be on the zip line.
They're like all day, like small children lined up as Joe's going back and forth on the zip line.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So next item on the partner reports, Dave Paul connecting to his audio. Hey, Dave. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to give an update?
Sure. So with the dog park committee, things are coming together pretty well. We've got a decent group of volunteers from the community with a large variety of expertise. We've got a graphics guy on board. We've also actually have the woman that started the Barrington Dog Park on board. So she'll be a huge help. And is that me? Or is that you guys?
I can hear you. Keep going.
Oh, okay. My screen went black and there was a phone on it. So it's kind of weird. So the committee itself is coming together. We've broken up into a fundraising committee and a site work committee. Fundraising is coming along pretty well. We're at about 17,000 right now, which is just about on target. So we've got a fencing estimate for volunteer installation and maybe get the scouts or somebody from the community involved. That'll drastically reduce some of that initial cost for the fence that we were looking at. Only other thing I can see right here, other than a planned groundbreaking for April, is we've got a high school senior, Abigail Simmons, who was Ray's granddaughter. Some of you guys may have seen it. She was doing a calendar fundraiser for her senior project, and the calendars just came in this week, and they're actually selling pretty well. So
I want to get
that's it. Out there, we're keeping busy.
Abigail Out to me, it seems my doggie's going to be in the calendar.
Ah, yes.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hey, David, let's get some Just for Men for that beard, huh? You're starting to look a little, you're starting to look my age now. Come on.
That's what happens with us fire retirees. I mean, pretty soon I'm gonna look like a mix between you and Bob, and that's pretty scary.
Yeah, well, just looking like me will be scary.
Yeah.
But,
You guys have any questions or,
well, yeah, the only question I had for you, is there anything that recreation can help you with? Do you need anything from us right now?
no, I did not make the last meeting. I did get the minutes from it. There was question about, whether or not this committee is a part of the recreation committee. Essentially, the answer to that, from what I understand, is that you have us on your agenda just to keep this alive. But now that our committee has kind of taken off, I mean, I still have zero problem reporting to you guys, with how we're doing, but, I still look at it as a co-op anyway, so.
David, the fundraising, how is that going? Because are we allowed to get money from businesses in town, or is that a no-no? Because I think there was some discussion about that at the last meeting.
So as far as I know, I think Barbara was the one that brought that up. Her only concern was a quote unquote town committee soliciting from businesses as like she's worried about a quid pro quo type thing. We
Okay.
have nothing to do with town business, so I don't see any issue. I don't see any conflict, to be quite honest with you. It's no different than Twin River. They donated 5,000 as well. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That seemed to be a sticking point last meeting. We were kicking that around, so.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
just to your point about sort of the relationship, I think I'm psyched to know what's going on with you guys and give an opportunity to kind of share feedback and see how we can help. Sort of in the same way, like Town Farm, the Recreation Committee isn't part of recreation right now. I think eventually it'll get merged under, but in your case, it's just, we're here to help. Appreciate the update. And if we can do anything, please let us know.
Yeah, no, awesome. Like I said, I appreciate being on the agenda, and if anybody does watch these meetings, then they can see an update. So awesome.
Well, I know things are rough on your committee.
All right, Joe, you just did that at the town council meeting, and now you're doing it again here.
Is there a dog
Oh,
barking in the
see the
background?
guy in the background? There you go. Perfect cue, right?
There you go, right on cue. Joe, answer your phone tomorrow.
Oh, God, I love it.
Answer my phone tomorrow. I will.
All right, buddy.
I always answer it.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
All
Thank
right,
you, Dave.
Negative.
Thank you.
Sorry, playing with her. I think Rick Rogers just joined us on audio. Rick, is that you?
Hi, sir. Yes, I'm on the computer for video, but the DPW computer is not that advanced, so I have to call in for audio.
No, it's fine. I just didn't recognize the number initially, so I wanted to make sure it was you. We are down sort of to the end of our partner working group. I just have a new business item on here before we jump in, and Rick, I'll ask if you have any feedback, but just a new business item. We do need to start working on food truck permitting. I've got some documentation that was provided to me by Jan Rietzma before, but we need to put something together just going forward. I'm happy to help spearhead it, but I'm wondering if anybody else might be willing to give it an extra set of eyes if I just circulate it around.
Is this Stu for the Stonebridge dock DPW item that we put in the $10,000, or is this something else?
This is my comments, just purely the process for which we approve food trucks going out to various places in town.
I thought you said dock. I thought you said
No.
the new dock. Okay, sorry about that. Okay.
Stu, I'd be happy to look at that with you.
Cool.
No problem.
Awesome. All right, I will connect with you offline on that, Chris. It's
Thanks.
pretty straightforward. I want to make sure I'm not going the wrong way.
Yeah, no, we looked at it years ago. We had, we did that food truck here, so I went through that, the bidding process with them. So a little bit of experience at least.
It's probably your stuff that I'm looking at then. So.
Could be.
All good. Cool. I will reach out. Any other comments or thoughts just on food trucks in general? So I'll sort of open it up to the floor for general updates. Rick, since you were kind enough to join us, do you have anything in particular that you want to touch base with us on?
Nothing in particular other than we expect to be able to come out, if the snow lets up, we expect to be able to come out within the next couple of weeks and start preparing the area for the new jungle gym, apparatus, zip line and all that over in the northeast corner of Town Farm. And if there was any feedback in regards to the second buddy bench at Pecasset, that would be interesting. And a third question, since you asked about the food trucks, is do they need to get a license from the town council that a site location, restaurant, bar, etc., would need to get to operate in the town, or is that not something that's required? So those are the three things I have. Just an update on Town Farm, whether there's any update from you on the buddy bench at Pecasset, and then just a question about the food truck.
Hey, I got a question for Rick.
Sure.
Did you ever have a chance to go down and look at that roof at Fogland?
No, I have not looked at it in pertaining to any discussions that we've had. I've looked at it in the past, and it could use some help.
Okay, yeah, because I brought this up a couple of meetings ago where I was down there, and the roof looked like it was in need a little bit of attention.
Right, and those kind of items, I don't know if it'll get any headway, but on the town-wide recreation maintenance budget from DPW, we did submit a request for funds for things like that, in addition to playground equipment and repairs at the different locations. So if the town council and the budget committee approve those funds, then we could spend some money repairing the roof as needed down at Fogland.
Okay, yeah, no, I just wanted to bring, like I said, I was down there, and it looked like some of the shingles were missing, and it looked like it could use a little bit of TLC.
Right.
Hey, Rick, I can answer what I know about the food trucks. So I know in 2019 or 20, it's now a state license. So the food trucks get licensed by the state of Rhode Island, and then it's up to us to really set the guidelines. And if we want to charge a fee to have got people come on to our property, that really is something the committee would do. And I think that's something we'll discuss. But the state makes up the rules for the state, and then each town basically is up to them, their own rules and regulations, what they want to do.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep. And I want to also say thanks to Rick, because he's still continuing work down at Fogland with Christmas trees and sand dunes, and we've already booked our dune grass, so we got a whole load of dune grass to plant. So we'll let everybody know when probably in April. We'll have a dune grass.
Yeah, I got experience at that, Chris. We did a lot of that at Grinnell's Beach.
Yeah, yep. So it's coming again. We just put our bid in for a whole chunk of it. So getting it from somewhere out in the Cape, somewhere out by Sandwich.
Let me give you a little hint on how to plant it. Take a big pipe, stick it in the ground, it makes a hole, then you stick it in.
That's the plug. That's right.
A lot faster than going and dig them.
Yeah.
Rick, you asked about also the buddy bench. Marissa Conley was on earlier. I know the two of you have connected. Basically, there was nothing actionable for recreation, but we all supported what she's trying to do, and she's going to connect back with you about how to sort out a time frame to get on DPW's schedule for that to get it installed.
Thank you, Stu.
One other note, and it's not, you don't have to dive into it here, is that we're talking about Fogland. Some of the picnic tables that are down there are, beyond falling apart. We've got to figure out how to put them back together. I'm happy when it's a little bit warmer to actually contribute some time. If Rick, you and I can work on some of the lumber. I know we've talked about it in the past, but they're kind of dangerous right now. I want to fix them before next year.
Yes, and something to consider is what do we want to use for material, because if it's too readily available for burning, they do seem to find themselves in fire pits.
Nope.
Well,
Bob, that sounds like a job for us, Bob.
Yep.
I was just gonna make a wisecrack about Bob with the surveillance camera in the brush, but you beat me to it.
Well, bring my camper down there. I mean, I don't mind going down and I got, and I got the tools and generator and Joe's pickup truck, brand new one. We can go down there and rebuild some of them. I don't have a problem doing that on a weekend, helping out doing something like that. As far as material and stuff goes, I don't think we can use pressure treated for sheets and stuff like that because of the chemicals they use. If somebody gets a splinter and stuff like that, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think we can use pressure treated. But I mean, we can, 2x8s from a lumber yard or something.
The other part to this is that the cost of wood right now of all different types, whether it's engineered or not, is through the roof. So some of this might be time related. And so we can figure out what material makes sense. And then from there, one option that Chief Jones had actually suggested when we talked about this before was doing sponsorships for each of the tables, putting a sign saying like sponsored by, it could be anything from Boy Scouts to local businesses, however we want to do it. So lots of options. I just want to make sure it stays on our radar before we get too far into the year.
Well, I can go down there when I
was going to say we could go down and do a survey of what it needs or what it looks like. Maybe what's there we can save. We can fix it up and preserve it. And if not, we can make a list of what we need.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. We can go down there and take a look, come up with some type of material list of what we're going to need. And we can go from there. I mean, it's not, most of them are telephone poles they have sunk in the ground. That's what they're using basically for foundations and bases. And we can build off of that, which is there now.
Yeah, the posts that are there now, I think, are pretty solid. So
right.
All right. So we're kind of coming to the end of the meeting. I think this is a really good piece. Let's figure out what our goals are. Joe and Bob, if you guys don't mind doing some recon and just kind of get a lay of the land for it between now and next meeting.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Cool.
It's going to be a little warmer and less snow, but yeah, we'll do it.
So wear your orange so nobody thinks that you're a duck and decides to go hunting. So we also have Chris and I are going to connect about the food truck application side of it. I'm going to send some stuff to the job description working group, just a couple of notes on that. And again, I probably won't be on the call just because I don't want to have a majority of the group without setting up a formal meeting. If we end up needing to do that, that's fine. We just got to make sure it's properly accounted for. And Rick, you're going to connect with Marissa. And then if you need anything, please feel free to connect with me. Again, I think it really, as long as they've got the bench for you and you know where the space is and can get on your calendar, it's good to go. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Our next
Thank
meeting
you,
is
Rick.
Thanks, Rick. Our next meeting is March 9th. I will send out an update ahead of time and we're going to start getting on a sequence. I do want to give a shout out to Andrew, who sets up the Facebook Live on this. He and I came up with a cool idea of just having a Facebook or a Google Excel sheet. So he's going to dump in all the live keys for me ahead of time so I can just plug them in as we go.
Nice.
And he does a great job. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does to help make these things happen. So thank you, Andrew.
Thank you,
And
Andrew.
anything else?
Stu, I just got a text message from Chief Jones. Said PD will donate a very cool Trex picnic table for the beach.
There you go.
Yay.
I don't care what anyone says. Those guys are pretty great.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, TPD.
Yay.
Awesome. Any other comments before we adjourn for the night? All right. My
Stay
last
safe.
comment is stay safe, everybody.
Hey, Dana,
Yes.
Dana and Dan, we'll get together on text message or email or something when the three of us can get together, where you want to get together, and we can look over those job descriptions.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Now,
Can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
So moved.
Got a motion from Bob, and I'll take a second from Chris. All in favor, wave your
Aye,
hand.
aye, 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 aye. Aye, aye.
Stay safe.